Welcome to the Wisdom Tribe. If you are listening to this right now, it is not by coincidence, it is by divine appointment. You have been drawn here by the Spirit of God Himself because this message carries something that belongs to you. You are not here by accident. You are here because heaven has already stamped you as chosen, set apart, and destined for greatness. Child of God, this message is specifically for you. The one they said could never rise, the one they said would fail, the one they doubted, mocked, or overlooked. You are becoming the living fulfillment of what the world once labeled impossible. Every tear you shed, every setback you faced, every door that closed, every no you endured, God has been using it to mold you, strengthen you, and prepare you for the breakthrough and destiny that were always meant to be yours. Even when it seemed like the world was against you, even when hope felt distant, God was quietly orchestrating your rise. He was turning every obstacle into a stepping stone, every criticism into fuel, and every season of waiting into preparation. Today you are on the path to becoming exactly what they said was impossible. And every moment of your journey is proof that God's power, timing, and promises are real. Before we go any further, if your spirit is stirred by this message, type 7 in the comments right now. That number is not random. It represents divine completion and the moment God is revealing the impossible in your life. When you type it, you are declaring in faith that you are chosen, set apart, and ready to step into what they said you could never become. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Wisdom Tribe, and make sure you watch this message all the way through, because the impossible that the world doubted is about to become your reality in ways you never imagined. Let's dive deeper. Chapter 1. They said you couldn't do it. Child of God, remember the voices, the naysayers, the doubters, the ones who told you your dreams were too big, your vision too unrealistic, or your hope too foolish. They looked at your circumstances, your age, your resources, and even your past failures, and concluded that success was impossible for you. They tried to define your life by what they saw, not by what God had planned. They laughed at your ideas, mocked your ambition, and doubted your faith. Every "you can't," "it won't happen," or "stop dreaming" they spoke was meant to discourage you. But God had a different plan. God sees differently. What they labeled as limitations, God saw as preparation. Every closed door, every delay, every setback was a divine tool to sharpen your spirit, increase your patience, and deepen your faith. Their disbelief was never the measure of your potential. It was only a shadow of the greater reality God was orchestrating in secret. Every doubt cast against you became the soil in which your destiny was planted. Every word of discouragement they spoke was like water to a seed, and God's Spirit has been nurturing that seed into full bloom. Child of God, today you are becoming what they said was impossible. Every dream they dismissed, every hope they laughed at, every plan they doubted, they will eventually witness it come to life. Their disbelief will not hinder you. Instead, it will serve as a testimony of God's power working through you. What they said could never happen is now unfolding before your eyes, and their doubt will become undeniable evidence of your victory. The world may have measured your life by human limitations, but God measured you by His promise. He knew what you couldn't see, what they couldn't understand, and what seemed impossible to others. Every struggle, every rejection, every moment of being overlooked was part of God's divine design. While they focused on your weaknesses, God was strengthening your spirit. While they counted you out, God was counting the ways He would raise you up. Think about every no you heard, the doors that didn't open, the opportunities that passed you by, the people who abandoned or underestimated you. Each of those no's was actually a divine redirect. God was moving in secret, setting the stage for a breakthrough that would leave everyone in awe. Every disappointment was His hand preparing the soil for something extraordinary, something impossible to achieve by human effort, but fully achievable through Him. Child of God, let this truth sink deep into your heart. The impossible is already moving in your favor. Their no was never final. Their doubt was never greater than God's promise, and their disbelief could never outshine His power. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of feeling overlooked has been part of the master plan. Today you stand on the edge of your breakthrough. The impossible is not a warning. It is your calling. What they said you couldn't do is now the exact thing God is using to glorify His name through your life. You are walking into a new reality, one where limitations fall away, where impossible things become everyday miracles, and where your victory becomes a living testimony. Every person who doubted, mocked, or laughed at you will see the hand of God moving in ways they never expected. You are the living proof that God specializes in taking what seems impossible and turning it into His glory. Child of God, hold your head high, lift your heart in faith, and step boldly, because what they said could never happen is now inevitable, and nothing can stop God's plan for you. Chapter 2. Your pain wasn't pointless. Child of God, every season of suffering, rejection, and loneliness you endured had a purpose. Pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Those sleepless nights, unanswered prayers, and moments of despair were not random. They were God's way of shaping you, refining your character, and building a foundation for the impossible that is now unfolding in your life. Every disappointment, every tear, every time you felt overlooked or underestimated was working together to prepare you for the greatness God has destined for you. God was strengthening your spirit, sharpening your faith, and revealing the depth of your resilience. What felt like defeat was actually divine training. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every closed door was equipping you with wisdom, endurance, and discernment that can only come from experience. The impossible is often birthed through struggle, and your life is living proof that God's timing is perfect and His plans are far greater than what you could have imagined. Think about it. Every time you thought you had reached your limit, God stretched you further. Every moment you felt abandoned, He was teaching you to rely on Him completely. Every almost and every not yet was carefully orchestrated to mold your heart, increase your patience, and elevate your perspective. Even the seasons where you felt invisible or forgotten were seasons of hidden preparation. God was working behind the scenes, aligning people, resources, and opportunities that you couldn't yet see. Child of God, even your scars have meaning. They are not reminders of failure. They are badges of preparation, evidence of resilience, and marks of victory in the making. Every rejection, every closed door, and every moment of waiting was God whispering, I am preparing you for what they said you could never achieve. Every tear you shed watered the seeds of your breakthrough. Every sleepless night built endurance for the joy that was coming. Every time your faith was tested, it was being strengthened so that you could carry the weight of your calling with confidence. Your pain has taught you lessons that comfort, motivate, and guide you. It has shown you who is truly with you, who is not, and what truly matters. It has cultivated patience in your heart, courage in your spirit, and wisdom in your soul. Every challenge you faced has positioned you for greatness and for the impossible to manifest. Even the loneliness, the confusion, and the delays were carefully designed to prepare you for your elevation. Child of God, look back on every season and see God's fingerprints in it all. Nothing was wasted. Every tear was watering the seeds of your breakthrough. Every struggle was equipping you to rise above the impossible. Every disappointment, every heartbreak, and every moment of waiting was preparation for the glory, favor, and victory that is now making its way to you. Your pain was never pointless. It was a divine preparation, and you are now ready to walk boldly into the fulfillment of what they said could never happen. Remember this. The fire you walked through did not consume you, it purified you. The storms you faced did not drown you, they lifted you higher. The obstacles you stumbled over did not defeat you, they trained you to run the race with strength, perseverance, and vision. God used every tear, every moment of loneliness, and every unanswered prayer to craft a version of you that is unstoppable. Child of God, this is why you are stronger today than you were yesterday. This is why your vision, your hope, and your faith are unshakable. God used every moment of suffering to craft the person you needed to become to carry the impossible. What they said was too hard, too unlikely, or too impossible. They will now witness it come to life through you. Your past was never wasted. It was the preparation for your impossible victory. And one day soon, when you stand in the fullness of what God promised, you will look back and realize that every pain, every rejection, every tear, every season of waiting, every whispered insult, every ignored opportunity, they were all part of a divine puzzle. Each moment carefully placed to form the masterpiece of your life. The impossible is not just coming. It has already been written into your story. Your pain was never pointless. It was the quiet shaping of a life destined for greatness. Chapter 3. God's favor makes the impossible possible. Child of God, understand this. Nothing is impossible when God's favor is on your life. Favor is not just luck, coincidence, or timing. It is a divine weight, a supernatural force that moves heaven on your behalf. Favor opens doors that human effort cannot, provides solutions that intellect cannot devise, and creates opportunities where none seem to exist. It turns scarcity into abundance, barriers into pathways, and opposition into platforms for your breakthrough. The favor surrounding you is invisible to the world, but it is real. It is active, powerful, and it is aligning every circumstance in your life according to God's perfect plan. Think about it. Joseph was sold into slavery, forgotten in a prison, yet favor lifted him to manage the wealth of an entire nation. David, overlooked as the youngest and weakest in his family, rose to defeat a giant and lead a kingdom. Esther, a young girl from an unlikely background, found herself in a palace and became a queen who saved her people. Gideon, the least in his family, was called to lead an army that would conquer nations. Favor does not rely on status, wealth, or connections. It relies on God's divine purpose. And child of God, that same favor is on you. What they said could not happen, what the world laughed at, what human eyes could not see, It is now aligning with God's perfect will. Your rise is not by chance, skill, or luck. It is by divine favor, and heaven is moving to prove that what was once deemed impossible is now inevitable. Opportunities that seemed unreachable are drawing near. Doors that were sealed are being opened. People who had no idea how to help you are being positioned to support you. The favor on your life is turning your almost into a reality. You're not yet into today, and you're never into a miracle. Child of God, favor does more than change circumstances. It changes perception. It turns your past pain into proof, your failures into testimony, and your struggles into stepping stones. People who doubted you will see the hand of God moving in ways they cannot explain. Your life will serve as a living demonstration that God's favor is real, unstoppable, and able to make the impossible possible. Favor also brings supernatural acceleration. What would normally take years will take months. What would require connections or resources will suddenly appear without effort. The impossible timelines of men do not bind God. What they said was impossible, what seemed out of reach, and what appeared beyond your grasp. Favor is making it manifest, visible, and undeniable. Favor works quietly, but its results are loud. It whispers in the hidden seasons, preparing situations behind the scenes, moving the right people, creating divine appointments that you didn't even plan for. What feels invisible now is actually a divine orchestration in motion. Heaven is moving, arranging, and positioning every piece perfectly so that your rise will be undeniable and your victory unavoidable. Never forget, child of God, that favor is personal and intentional. God has chosen you, aligned circumstances, and orchestrated people to converge in your life at the exact right time. Your rise is not just for your glory. It is to show others that what God promises, He performs. It is to encourage the faith of those who feel overlooked. It is to confirm that with God, the impossible is always possible. So walk in confidence, knowing that nothing can stop what God has ordained. Speak with boldness, act with courage, and step forward in faith. The favor that surrounds you will guide you, protect you, and position you above every limitation. Today, what they said could never happen is being fulfilled. Today, the impossible is bowing to God's favor in your life. Today, your story is proof that God's favor does not just exist. It conquers, elevates, and transforms everything in its path. And remember this: favor often arrives in ways that seem mysterious, unplanned, or even unconventional. People will marvel at how things fall perfectly into place for you. Doors they thought were closed forever will swing open. Chapter 4. Your faith has carried you through. Child of God, faith is the bridge between impossibility and manifestation. It is the unseen force that carries you across storms, over mountains, and through valleys when nothing in the natural world seems to support your dreams. Faith whispered when the world shouted, "Give up." Faith gave you the courage to rise every time you fell, the strength to keep walking when every road seemed blocked, and the determination to keep believing when every eye around you doubted. Faith carried you through sleepless nights, unanswered prayers, and seasons where hope seemed distant. It was faith that told your spirit to keep trusting even when the doors were locked and the road seemed closed. It was faith that refused to settle for mediocrity when God had promised greatness. Every time you felt weak, faith lifted you. Every time you wanted to quit, faith whispered, "I am with you." Every time the enemy tried to convince you it was over, faith reminded you that God's plan cannot be thwarted. Today, child of God, you are living proof that persistence in faith produces miracles. Every prayer you prayed, every step you took, and every decision to trust God instead of circumstances were building blocks of your victory. Every no you endured, every rejection, every delay, all of it was faith in motion, aligning your spirit with heaven's timing. Your faith has shaped you, strengthened you, and carried you closer to the impossible than you ever realized. Faith is not passive, it is active, persistent, and revolutionary. It refuses to be shaken by setbacks. It does not depend on the crowd or the critics. Faith chooses to believe God's promise even when reality seems impossible. It is the engine that moves mountains, the light that guides you through darkness, and the invisible hand that turns impossibility into reality. Your faith has not only carried you, it has positioned you to receive what others said could never happen. Child of God, remember this. Every trial you faced tested your faith, but it also expanded it. Every moment of waiting stretched your patience, increased your resilience, and refined your spirit. The impossibilities that surrounded you were never meant to stop you. They were meant to prove that your faith could endure, grow, and prevail. Faith does not just survive adversity, it transforms it into triumph. The world may have doubted you, the critics may have laughed, and circumstances may have seemed impossible. But faith never wavered. Faith remained steady, unwavering, and persistent. That same faith has carried you to a place where the impossible is now possible, where the doors that were once closed are swinging open, and where every word spoken over your life that said you cannot is being overturned by God's supernatural favor. Child of God, you are becoming what they said was impossible because your faith refused to let go of God's promises. You pressed forward when giving up was easier. You trusted when doubt surrounded you. You believed when nothing in the natural world supported your vision. And today, the harvest of that faith is appearing. Every step, every prayer, every act of obedience and trust is converging into a testimony. Let this sink in. Your faith did not just carry you through, it carried you into the realm of the impossible. It elevated you above limitation, strengthened you against opposition, and positioned you for divine breakthroughs. The impossible is not just coming, it is arriving. And it is arriving because your faith refused to quit. Your faith is your victory, your shield, and the proof that God's promises never fail. Chapter 5. Your story will inspire generations. Child of God, your journey is not just for you, it is for those who will come after you. Every tear you shed, every trial you endured, every no you faced, and every moment you felt unseen, overlooked, or underestimated is being transformed into a testimony that will encourage generations. What you once thought was pain, failure, or limitation is now being woven into a story of hope, victory, and divine purpose. Your life is becoming a blueprint showing others how God can take the impossible and make it possible. Every time you rise above impossibility, you become a living demonstration of God's power. People will watch your life and realize that what they thought was unattainable is actually achievable through faith, perseverance, and divine alignment. Others who feel trapped, hopeless, or rejected will look at your life and see that miracles are real. They will find courage in your victories, strength in your endurance, and inspiration in the way you never gave up. Your life will silently teach them that no situation is too big for God, no struggle is too long, and no setback is too permanent. Child of God, your obedience, endurance, and resilience are forming a legacy far greater than you can imagine. Your story will ripple across generations. Children will grow up hearing about your triumphs. Friends, family, and strangers alike will be reminded that God is always faithful. The lessons you learned, the battles you fought, and the faith you held on to will become guiding lights for those who follow in your footsteps. Every struggle, every delay, every moment of loneliness is now a stepping stone for someone else's inspiration. You are proof that God specializes in turning setbacks into setups, challenges into triumphs, and impossibilities into testimonies. The very moments you thought were wasted, ignored, or meaningless are being repurposed for divine impact. Every time you endured rejection, ridicule, or disappointment, it was not for nothing. The world may have doubted you, but God always believed in you. And now, your story is more than a personal victory. It is a beacon of hope, a lighthouse guiding generations to believe in God's faithfulness and power. Child of God, imagine the ripple effect of your life. The courage your story ignites in one person could ignite faith in thousands. The hope it restores in one heart could spark revival in a community. The faith it inspires in one soul could change the trajectory of many lives. You are not just living for today. You are planting seeds that will bear fruit for decades to come. Every act of faith, every decision to obey, and every moment you trusted God is multiplying beyond what you can see. Every obstacle you overcame, every impossible situation you survived, and every time you pressed forward when the world said stop. All of it is becoming part of a legacy that will encourage, uplift, and empower others long after your season here is complete. Your story will inspire courage, faith, and hope in generations to come. It will teach the young to persevere, the weary to believe, and the overlooked to rise. It will show that God's favor, power, and provision are not limited by human understanding. And child of God, this is why your story matters so much. It is living proof that God's plans are greater than the world's expectations, stronger than human doubt, and more powerful than any obstacle. As your testimony spreads, it will remind everyone that no one is too small, too weak, or too late for God to do something extraordinary. Every person who watches your life will see that faith, obedience, and trust in God can turn impossibilities into realities. Child of God, embrace this truth. Your journey, with all its highs and lows, victories and setbacks, trials and triumphs, is becoming a legacy. What they said was impossible is now a roadmap for others. Your life is proof that with God, miracles are real, breakthroughs are guaranteed, and the impossible is always possible. You are not just living. You are creating a story that will echo for generations, leaving a mark that time cannot erase. Your story will inspire courage where there was fear, faith where there was doubt, and hope where there was despair. It will show the world that nothing is stronger than God's hand upon a life fully surrendered to Him. Chapter 6. The impossible is now your reality. Child of God, the moment you have been praying for, hoping for, and sometimes even doubting would ever come, it is here. The shift has already begun. Heaven has moved on your behalf, and the very things that once seemed out of reach are now falling into place with divine precision. What they said could not be done is now unfolding before your very eyes. The doors that were bolted shut are swinging wide open. The opportunities that seemed reserved for others are being placed directly into your hands. The blessings that felt delayed are now catching up to you at a supernatural speed. The impossible is no longer a distant dream. It has become your present reality. You are walking in the evidence of God's power, and your life is becoming a stage where His glory is revealed. Everything the enemy meant to destroy you with has been turned into the foundation of your breakthrough. Every rejection became redirection. Every delay became preparation. Every heartbreak became the soil for a greater healing. You are standing in a season where the word impossible has been erased from your story. Think about it. When people looked at you before, they saw lack. They saw failure. They saw someone who didn't have enough, wasn't good enough, or wouldn't ever rise. But what they failed to see was God's hand resting on your life. They couldn't see the angels working behind the scenes. They couldn't hear the prayers you prayed at midnight that moved heaven. They couldn't feel the weight of your tears being stored as evidence before the throne of God. And now, the same people who counted you out will have no choice but to watch God count you in. Child of God, you need to understand, this is not a coincidence, this is covenant. God's promise to you is now breaking through the walls of impossibility. What He whispered in your spirit years ago, what He confirmed through visions and dreams, what He sealed with His word, it is now becoming tangible. You are stepping into answered prayers that once felt like they were lost in silence. You are walking through doors that once seemed sealed forever. You are carrying blessings that once felt too heavy to even imagine. The impossible was never impossible for God. It only looked impossible to human eyes. To Him, your victory was already secured before the battle began. To Him, your breakthrough was already written before you faced the struggle. And now, heaven's script is unfolding in real time, and the world will know that your rise is not by your strength, not by your connections, not by your wisdom, but by the Spirit of the living God. Look at your life right now. Things are aligning in ways you could never orchestrate. Relationships are shifting, opportunities are presenting themselves, and resources are flowing in ways that don't even make sense. God is reminding you that you were never alone, never forgotten, never overlooked. Every season of silence was God preparing an eruption of blessings. Every closed door was God protecting you until the right one opened. Every no you heard was making room for His perfect yes. Child of God, this is your time, this is your season. Don't shrink back. Don't downplay what God is doing to make others comfortable. Don't question whether you are worthy. God already deemed you worthy when He called you His own. Walk boldly because you are walking in fulfillment. Live fully because the impossible has now become your everyday testimony. Speak confidently because your story is proof that miracles are real. And remember this: what is happening to you is not just for you. Your victory will become someone else's hope. Your breakthrough will spark faith in someone who feels forgotten. Your testimony will be the evidence that encourages another child of God to keep believing. You are not just experiencing the impossible. You are becoming a living billboard of what happens when heaven intervenes. The impossible is now your reality. Wear it, own it, declare it, and let your life shine so brightly that everyone who once doubted will know. Surely this is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Chapter 7. Step into your destiny with confidence. Finally, child of God, this is your moment of alignment. This is the season you have been waiting for, praying for, and crying out for in the secret place. All the tears, all the sacrifices, all the nights you thought were wasted, they were building to this exact moment in your journey. The delays were not denials, they were divine detours, shaping your path and preparing your character so you could carry what is now being released. And now heaven says, step into it with confidence. For too long you've doubted yourself, you've compared yourself to others, you've questioned if you were enough, if you were worthy, if you had what it takes. But God is saying to you right now, you are enough because I am in you. You are worthy because my blood has covered you. You have what it takes because I have placed everything you need inside of you from the very beginning. The world may have overlooked you, but heaven has never once taken its eyes off you. Child of God, confidence doesn't mean arrogance, it means assurance. It means knowing that you are not walking alone. It means carrying yourself with the certainty that the same God who parted the Red Sea, who shut the mouths of lions for Daniel, who raised Joseph from the prison to the palace, that same God is walking with you into this new season. You don't need to beg for a seat at the table when God has already built a table for you in the presence of your enemies. You don't need to chase after doors when the King of Kings is about to swing them wide open in your favor. This is not the time to shrink back. This is not the time to play small. This is the time to rise with courage, with boldness, and with unwavering faith. Your destiny requires all of you, your voice, your creativity, your gifts, your wisdom, and even your scars. Everything you went through is now fuel for your purpose. Even your failures were rehearsals for your future. Even your rejections were redirections toward greater things. Nothing has been wasted. God has been using it all to position you for such a time as this. And hear me clearly. Your blessings are not just for you. Your breakthrough is meant to break chains for others. Your elevation is designed to inspire generations. When you walk confidently in your calling, you create pathways for others to follow. People who felt like giving up will find hope again because they see you standing tall. Families will be restored, lives will be transformed, and faith will be reignited, all because you chose to walk in your destiny with courage instead of fear. Walk with gratitude, child of God. Gratitude is the soil where miracles multiply. Every time you thank God for what He has done, you make room for Him to do even more. Gratitude keeps you grounded, reminding you that this is not about luck or chance. It is about grace. Gratitude transforms your perspective so you no longer see challenges as obstacles but as opportunities for God to reveal His power. And from that place of gratitude, walk in purpose. Be intentional, be bold, be relentless in pursuing the assignment heaven has entrusted to you. You are no longer trying to become, you already are. You are no longer waiting to be approved, you already are chosen. You are no longer striving to be enough, you already are equipped. This is not just the beginning of a new chapter. This is the beginning of your divine unfolding. You are walking proof that the impossible has now become reality.